Good morning, welcome to the Bishop Exchange. I'm John Bishop in my podcast studio in my garden.
Wow.
The first time I've ever got it to work. And Des is in New York and Bradley is in Bradley land. So welcome to the show. How is everyone?
If this podcast gets huge, that's going to be our theme park.
What, Bradley land?
Bradley
Yeah.
land.
Like what is it?
Dolly World?
Dollywood. Yeah, I was just thinking of Dollywood. Yeah, Bradleywood.
Yeah, so Bradley Land, when you walk in, it's really like wide, but the further you go into it, it gets narrow, it gets thinner and thinner.
The longer you know the place, it gets thinner and thinner.
And thinner and thinner.
Thinner and thinner. And every...
The house of mirrors.
Every second step, you step on a paving stone that just goes toxic. Gives you a bit of Britney. Toxic.
Yes.
That's funny.
And it says that's funny. It's one of the rides.
Yeah, that's funny. It's the that funny ride.
We got another WhatsApp saying this week how many times I say that's funny.
You know what's screwed up though is that podcasting, when you podcast regularly and you get regular listeners, like all your little idiosyncrasies, like people notice them, then you get paranoid about them.
Yeah, all your foibles come out. It's funny because last week, and I think Bradley posted this as well. Somebody, one of our listeners, Bradley, you can tell us their name, has posted the T-shirt. The Missionary.
Yes. That was Terry, right?
Terry.
Yeah, Teddy.
That was Terry. Yeah.
Yes, Teddy from the United States.
Yes, Terry. I'm pretty sure Terry was a regular listener of the Des Bishop podcast. I think. Don't quote me on that.
Yeah, but did she get a T-shirt? That's the difference. Well, did she go out and make her own T-shirt?
I gotta be honest.
Commitment.
The Des Bishop podcast wasn't as big on the inside jokes like the congregation missionaries.
Very hard to do that on your own podcast.
Yeah, I used to say that my fans should be called Desbians.
Desbians.
Oh yeah, you said that.
I said that before, right? Yeah. Well, who? David O'Doherty. David O'Doherty came up with that. What you guys are you guys need to calm down. Trump's America, you can make a joke like Desbian. You need to calm down.
Desbian.
You're so worried.
Desbian. This lady, she's a Desbian. They're the best Desbians ever.
I said it many times in like large public places. It doesn't offend anybody, the word Desbian, just so you know.
No. So, lots of things have gone on. Lots of stuff have gone on. Lots of stuff been going on. With me doing the last warm up to the tour, with you, I know that you went to the Ryder Cup. There's a lot of stuff going on. But before we get into the things that have happened, let's talk about the things that are on the horizon. And the biggest thing that's on the horizon is tomorrow, Bradley joins the Monsters and he goes to watch Lady Gaga.
Oh, you're going to Lady Gaga, Bradley?
I am going to Lady Gaga. I'm very excited. I'd planned for months and months.
He's a little monster. So Bradley, because Bradley was with me this weekend because we were doing the last warm-up gigs in Guildford at G Live before we start. The tour itself starts proper on a Wednesday. So Bradley, I never got a chance to ask you because we were in an environment where the most important thing was me getting the gig right, and obviously it was not appropriate for me to say now. What you wearing?
What are you wearing?
I'm wearing my highest heels and my shortest skirts. No, I bought some merch, some Lady Gaga merch.
You already bought the merch?
Yeah, bought the merch ahead to make sure it fit my new slender frame.
I was just gonna say, did you have to size down?
Yeah, did he do kids' clothes? All right,
John, you can't pull any strings to get him like backstage.
Backstage with Lady Gaga.
We were so excited because John is doing the O2 Arena on I think the 3rd of October, and Lady Gaga's doing it on the 2nd and the 4th. So like we were thinking that she's gonna like leave some of her stuff over, and I was gonna be able to try it.
Well, I'll tell you what she did last time.
Like smell her underwear, Bradley. That was a little creepy.
I might leave a note. I'll get a note to say,
say,
listen, babe, it's all right. If you don't want to empty your dressing room, I'll use another dressing room and just let Bradley go in, trying everything on. I've got to tell you, I've done this in the past. I did a tour where I followed Lady Gaga around, and it's just one of those bizarre things where your schedule follows another performer's schedule if you're performing in the same places. And I got to Newcastle Arena, and I was not allowed to use dressing room number 1 because she'd been with the dogs and they'd shat all over the carpet. So they were replacing the carpet. That's a very, very true story. I couldn't use dressing room number 1 because of Lady Gaga's dogs.
Bradley would have bought those carpets.
Yes, listen. I mean, now I found out. I think she's got Frenchies, hasn't she, Bradley? I think that's her dog.
I think she does actually, yeah.
And we've got a Frenchie, so now I would forgive her because I know it's not her fault. When you've got a Frenchie, they're mental. They'll do whatever they want anyway.
There's this hard work being put in to connect yourself to Lady Gaga here.
I know. It's a connection. It's a very tenuous connection.
We were once in the same building and with similar dogs.
We were once in the same building, but not at the same time. Not on the same day. And we've got similar dogs. We may have used the same lavatory. Maybe, possibly. I don't know. I don't want to get carried away. But that's so what you're saying.
That's funny.
Can you pull straight? Hey, that's funny. That could be our merch as well as the Bishnary thing. Just t-shirts. Hey, that's funny.
Actually,
that's funny.
just to bring it right back to Bishnary, I wanted to discuss the Bishnary thing because I thought it was great. A t-shirt. My only issue is, in my mind, when I said Bishnary, I had it as B-I-S-H and then I-O-N-N-A-R-I-E-S or one N, whatever. But she had spelt it with the B-I-S-S, which obviously makes it more obvious that you're definitely saying missionary, which I appreciate that thought. So I wasn't sure if you use the S-H, do people not know?
You do know I'm dyslexic, and you might as well have done all this conversation in Chinese because everything that you've just said then, I can't. My form of dyslexia is I can't spell in my head. So you've literally, that was just like somebody dropped a box of Scrabble and just said, "Look at that." I was like, I could see the letters, but cannot see the form in which it's all
right, let me narrow it down. So she had put SS. The problem is when you narrow this down, it gets problematic. So anyway, Terry's a fan of the SS. No. So Terry had used the SS for the BISS to connect it to missionary, the actual correct spelling, which is very understandable. Now, I had seen it as the SH to connect it more to the Bish part. But do you think if we did merch that people would understand if we said Bissionary with a BISH, or would they wonder what is that?
So if you did BISH, could you have the 2 S's after? Is that too many S's?
No, that's there. There's no need for that. It's basically just the way it sounds is the same. It's just like in spelling form. Is it obvious that you're joking as a missionary saying Bissionary? Because the problem is that if you make it like Bissionary with the 2 S's.
So she's replaced the M with a B, and there's no H in it. Right.
Okay.
See, that's working. It's not working. You can see why I'm shit at crosswords. I'm like, what?
John is like on one of those bad connections when you're like watching Sky News. You know when you're watching Sky News and you're like waiting for them to hear the question, and then finally they answer.
Yeah. Got you.
But do people call you Bish sometimes or not?
Yeah, Bish. Certain.
You do.
So in Wexford, I was the Yank. That was my nickname. But when I went to Dublin, I went to a posher school for my final year of secondary school. They called me Bish. And then David O'Doherty, coincidentally enough, who's also from the south side of Dublin, he always called me Bish. And you definitely get Bish a lot, John, right?
I always get Bish.
Yeah,
everyone calls me Bish. Everyone.
Yeah, so Bish is a common nickname for us.
But I don't want to say to Terry now she's gone to the effort. You've got to do another one.
Terry, you do another
No, Terry's one is great. I agree with Terry.
I agree with Terry.
No, I'm just saying if we decide to continue on, I just wanted to make a long-term decision on are we going BISS or are we going BISH?
Listen, I at the moment I don't think we should invest in merch. I don't think we should get carried away.
John.
But I do agree that as far as the branding concept goes, as far as this idea of how to pronounce this made up word, I think it's an important conversation, but it's not something I can contribute to as much as Bradley, because Bradley can spell. So Bradley, you and Des work it out.
I agree. I think the H, just because she's both get called Bish, makes more sense.
Yeah,
makes more sense. Okay.
So but I think Terry has the OG one. So when this podcast is the most popular podcast in the world, she will have a very valuable item.
Unbelievable.
The original. People will be like, I thought it was BISH. And you'd be like, well, actually, the original was BISS.
And then what we can do, you may not even see this if I turn this round. Will you see? See, there in my podcast studio, I've got a framed Liverpool shirt. So what we could do is we could get the OG one and get it framed.
Yeah, in Bradley World.
In Bradley, and it could be an exhibition in Bradley World.
And then... Then we can make a documentary for ITV about how we tried to get Lady Gaga to wear a Bishionary t-shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
So that we could say that Lady Gaga is a Bishionary.
Yeah, we followed her around. Yeah, that'd be good, though.
Because that was a show, right? Wasn't that the thing? Like somebody trying to connect with a fan, somebody trying to connect with their hero. Wasn't that like Wasn't that like a show?
Would you meet them in the end?
Yeah, something like that. I can't remember. But I can't remember. I vaguely remember that was the thing. They had like a challenge to try to meet their hero or something.
Oh yeah. I can't remember it was. See if you can Google it, Brad, because I've got a vague memory of it.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's not important. Anyway,
no, it is important. It's very
we really appreciate Terry's effort.
Yeah,
and the beginning of our collaboration.
MTV's Fanatic fan in
Yes, Fanatic.
And who was it, Brad?
It was different people every week.
Oh, was it different people every week? Okay. Well, listen. What I will say, which is very gratifying. How many shows have we done, Brad? Do you know?
I want to say like 37. Let me double.
Yeah. And
wow, are we doing this 37 weeks already, or certainly maybe 35?
Yeah,
30?
it feels like we're more and more people are listening. Yeah,
wow,
and that's nice.
I feel like we just started.
I feel like we're getting into our groove and people are engaging with it, and and I'm loving it. It's brilliant. So I appreciate Terry's efforts massively. It's a reflection of the fact that someone somewhere must be listening.
Well, also, can I just say, since we're thinking about the memorabilia that's going to go into Bradley World, I want to get a framed Kash Patel's Liverpool tie.
Yeah. You know what? I sent a text to Billy Hogan, who's the CEO of Liverpool, saying Kash Patel's a fan.
Come on, drop a name drop on that. Name drop.
Maybe I shouldn't have said that. So Billy's from Boston. He's
of course, because he's in with the Boston owners.
Yeah, I've seen before. So I sent him a message saying, Kash Patel's a Liverpool fan, and I haven't had a reply yet. So it may well be they've gone, oh shit, we didn't know that.
He had the Liverpool tie on during this serious press conference.
I know, it's mad. It's like trying to deflect attention. It was almost like coming on with a Santa hat to a congressional hearing. They're not here. This will sway them.
Yeah. Every time he gets a difficult question, some Republicans in the back of the room are like, walk on.
Look at him. Yeah. Anyway. Don't mention Epstein. Let's talk about Kenny Dalglish. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, so I went to the Ryder Cup. Can we talk about that?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've had a WhatsApp request that you do talk about it, actually. Des, please, can you do your thing about DeChambeau and Ryder Cup next week? I listen to you guys every week and laugh my socks off. From Will in South Australia.
Oh, very
Well,
good.
I listen, I'm on the record, and I want to state it even deeper than ever. I hate Bryson DeChambeau. He's such a phony. Like, this whole new PR thing that he's been doing over the last couple of years with this YouTube golf. He is such
explain. Try and explain who he is to the non-golf listeners and what you don't like about him. What's the phony bit?
Well, so Bryson DeChambeau is a very talented golfer without a shadow of a doubt, but he's a very odd guy. And in the early part of his career, he came in with a lot of promise because he hits the ball probably further than anybody else active on the tour. But he was an asshole, like a public asshole. A lot of obvious moments where everybody was like, what an asshole. I don't think that's controversial. He was really into like the science of golf, and he was doing all these videos about like trying to perfect the perfect. So all his club lengths were the same. He was just doing all this stuff that was different, thinking that like he had hacked the code.
But when you say an arsehole, like nasty to people, not nasty to people, just
honestly, you know, it's just like, just take my word for it that he's an asshole. And also, by the way, particularly when it comes to early Bryson DeChambeau, take my word for it that it was kind of unanimous that he was an asshole. Okay.
Okay.
And just like, let me give you an example of one of the things that really turned people off Bryson DeChambeau back in the day was he said that that Augusta was like a par 68. So basically he said he could just overpower Augusta with his length, and that it was like a Mickey Mouse course. And of course, Augusta ate him up.
I'm sorry, but that sentence, he could overpower Augusta with his length. Bradley, clip that up and don't give it any reference whatsoever and see what happens.
Anyway, and then Augusta ate him up, and he was just an arrogant fool. Needless to say, he went to live. Right, he was one of the live people, right? Which automatically I don't like you because the whole live thing has been.
Again, you got to make a reference for people who don't know what live is.
Oh my God, John!
I'm trying to be inclusive here.
If they don't know, they don't know. I'm about to get really interesting.
Well,
I don't know what's more interesting.
I want to be annoyed about him going somewhere that they didn't know exists. So live is like a Saudi Arabian version of Bradley Land.
No, come on! It's a tearaway golf tour that's funded by the Saudis, which is also in the news this week for other reasons. Because the comics had taken the blood money too. So anyway,
talk about that.
I don't want to get lost and live. All right.
Okay.
Anyway,
we'll talk about the comedian thing.
Despite the fact that he'd made insane amounts of money from the PGA Tour and all his endorsements and stuff, he decided to take the Saudi money. He went to live, right? So that's the beginning of like all this Rory animosity, because there's a lot of people that are like, they like the live thing because they're contrarians and they want to give the two fingers to the PGA. And, I got some sympathy with, the fact that people feel like maybe the PGA was ripping off, some people. And, a lot of people are like, hey, are you going to turn down that level of money? And I'll listen to all that. It's not really, doesn't really matter getting into like the argument about would you take the money or not, right? That's not what it's about. What it's about is Bryson did, and he was definitely one of the wealthier ones. I got some sympathies for Ian Poulter taking the bag. The guy was about to retire, and he's getting like generational money for his kids, grandkids, and great-grandkids. But Bryson DeChambeau already had that kind of money. And he was at the peak of his career. So he's basically saying, I'm giving up on real competition to take the money, which I think is like, it's a weak move. I already didn't like him, so now I doubly didn't like him. But on top of it, Rory McIlroy kind of became, unfortunately for Rory, the spokesperson for having integrity, sticking with the PGA Tour, and wrongly or rightly, he was very public about his criticism of people going to live, which began this kind of animosity from what I consider to be the dark side, the Emperor Palatine's people that were like behind live and particularly behind Bryson DeChambeau. Anyway, Bryson DeChambeau goes through this like PR thing. I don't know if it was just him or if his PR people decided, hey, bro, people hate you. You need to replenish your image. So he created a YouTube channel, which has been hugely successful. And there's a lot of like fun golf stuff. But you also have to understand that YouTube golf is now like a thing. It's like a genre. And, you know, all these kids on YouTube are like, YouTube golf is what people are watching now, which is not really true, but it is very popular. You know what I mean? Nobody's watching Live. That's one thing we know. But some of these YouTube channels are extremely popular. And Bryson DeChambeau's YouTube channel is really popular. Needless to say, he's very in with Trump. Trump's done some of his YouTube videos. And now Bryson DeChambeau is like a hero. He has like an army of very committed YouTube golf fans who hate Rory McIlroy. And after Bryson and Rory were fighting it out at Oakmont, you know, the US Open a year and a half ago, there was a lot of animosity building up. And then at the Masters this year, Bryson said in an interview, oh, Rory didn't talk to me. Rory was just very into his own game that day. He didn't talk to me, and I was very lonely out on the court.
Is that how he talks?
I want to be Rory's best friend. He wouldn't talk to me. So anyway, Bryson was complaining that Rory didn't talk to him. And then a couple of weeks ago, he was also saying, oh, I'm going to be chirping in Rory's ear. So then Rory was like, oh, Bryson has to bring up me or Scotty Scheffler just to get views on his YouTube channel. So there's a lot of animosity because Bryson's an asshole. Rory's out there competing at the highest level. He now has the career major. Like, he's done it. And yeah, Rory has had some very famous jokes, you know. And by the way, Rory can take a joke. Did you see the video where people were like, you know, filming him on the phone? It was him and Shane Lowry and a couple of other Europeans in the warm-up week. And Rory was buttoning the button on his collar. And somebody shouts out, you don't need a button to choke, Rory. And it was funny. And they laughed. And Rory laughed. And he gave him like a thumbs up.
Yeah, but again, the choke thing. So for people who follow golf, he's been at the point of winning major tournaments in the past, particularly the American Open, and lost from winning positions.
Yeah, now, the Masters was the most famous one.
The Masters most famous one. He was only how old was he then? He was relatively young. Yeah, he was young, and he choked at the Masters from a leading position. He lost it. And people going, oh, he's going to choke. And you could get it in the Ryder Cup. People shouting, you're going to choke again before he started. But to me, the strength of that man, the strength of personality, because to choke on something in a major sporting event when all the world's looking at you, but then have to go back to work the next week. And then to do something as hard as golf, which is a physical movement, you can't just get harder at it. You can't get angry with it. You have to. Your whole psyche is involved with golf at that level, as it is with all sport, but particularly with golf. And so I think Rory, the way he's conducted himself, particularly this weekend, has been outstanding. I think it's been an incredible example of what a leader is and what a great professional sportsman is, but also what a man is, what it is to be a man, to face so much abuse, and his wife is getting abuse as well, and then to do something that requires such precision that like a tiny number of people in the world can do it well, but to do it under that pressure, I think is phenomenal.
So it got out of hand at the Ryder Cup, as you know.
It did.
Now, Hannah was working at it, so she was there in the morning, but it was really the afternoon where the abuse got out of hand. Of course, the problem, it wasn't so much the abuse, although apparently they were shouting some horrible shit. By the way, I followed Shane Lowry yesterday, so I will tell you some of the defending of Shane Lowry I did yesterday.
So you were actually there yesterday?
Yesterday, but the news, it was such a horror show on Saturday that you could tell that people were behaving a lot better on Sunday, because Saturday was an absolute disgrace.
It's an embarrassment to American golf. Embarrassment.
So that was, I mean, I was always going for Europe. Like, I don't, like, it's not that I'm not a patriotic American, you know, but I'm I'm a bi-coastal guy in one of our early conversations. But more importantly, when it comes to sports, it's like I don't have any connection to Scotty Scheffler, Bryson DeChambeau. Like I am a Shane Lowry fan since he won the Irish Open as an amateur. I mean, like I'm a huge Shane Lowry fan, absolutely massive Rory McIlroy fan. You know, and I care more about the European golfers.
Yeah, and they look like normal people. Shane Lowry's the only elite sportsman who looks like he drove a van to the course. Do you know what I mean? He looks like he's just come from doing another job and got his clubs out to play. And what a man, again, what a player. And he was there. He was playing.
Well, he was getting
Rory.
abused for being fat. So here were my 2 comebacks that I said at the course yesterday, because, you know, Lowry gets it for being fat. So one time this drunk guy, by the way, a bunch of Irish guys actually were nearly going to kill that guy. But anyway, it didn't escalate. But one guy did, like, shoulder him. Anyway, this guy said, "You're out of shape, Shane. You're out of shape." And I said, "Yeah, he's in the same shape he was when he won the Open and the Irish Open as an amateur, you fucking arsehole." So that was
That's
one.
a put down. That's a very specific put down, but it's a put down.
It's a you're, bro.
The golfers are
we're in golf world. We're not in the Bishop Exchange world where I got to explain sport to Bradley, right? So we're in the golf world, right? So then another time, somebody called Shane Lowry fat, and I said, "Yeah, he's trying to fit in with you, you fat American fuck." So that was my
That's
two.
good. That
was my 2.
How did that go down with your comeback?
I don't give a fuck. Bro, I was pumped up, man. You don't understand. Like, I was ready because I was so angry.
What was the atmosphere
about
like?
Saturday. The
What was it like?
It wasn't tense. It wasn't tense. The only time that I got annoyed was Lowry was in the bunker on 8. I was right there. I was like right next to him. And a baby was crying. And I don't care about the fans. That's part of the Ryder Cup. So the fans were going, "Tell the kid to cry loud," or whatever. My problem was that one of the volunteers, the marshal inside the rope, was like raising his hands up, like as if to say, "Let the kid cry more." You know what I mean? So that kind of annoyed me that a marshal was doing that.
Well, yeah, this was the thing that I was texting you about, because I know that Hannah was there, I sort of doing some bits, and then all of a sudden I see on social media that one of the people who were employed by the Ryder Cup to get the crowd going and all that, the MC of events had started the chant of "fuck you, Rory."
She didn't start it, by the way. I'm actually going to defend her because I
don't know. Let me tell you what I was told. Let me tell you.
Well, that's all over the news.
Well, it was reported on Sky, because I came back
all over the news
after doing my gigs. It's been brilliant, and the reason I'm quite, G'd up with the Ryder Cup. It's such a phenomenal event, even if you're not really into golf, and I like all the rivalry, but because I'm coming off stage and getting in the car and driving back when it's just all still happening, so I'm getting home and I'm watching the summaries as I'm getting home, and they were saying on Sky, look, this lady who's a female comedian who started, the MC started the chant, and she shouldn't be, somebody employed by the Ryder Cup shouldn't be inciting the crowd to then hate on any of the players. Yeah, and the reason that she's doing it, she's a female comedian, apparently her husband's really into golf. And then I just thought, it's got to be Hannah.
It's not Hannah. It wasn't Hannah. The rare time Hannah didn't get in trouble, but so it's Heather McMahon, and I didn't know actually. No. When you texted me originally, I didn't know who it was. So here's the thing, right? I'm not defending the fact that Heather McMahon was on the mic saying "fuck you, Rory," right? Because the whole day,
who is Heather McMahon? Do you know
she's just a comic. She's just a comic. It doesn't matter. Yeah. But here's the problem, right? So Heather McMahon is employed by the PGA to like rile up the crowd, right?
Yeah.
The PGA tell her, "Hey, give it loads, really get them going. We'll tell you when to pull it back." So by all accounts, because I had actually had an account from 2 friends of mine from Ireland that were staying with me that were at the Ryder Cup, that the crowd they were giving her shit the whole time, right? They weren't having her at all. They were booing her. They weren't playing ball. And so she's like under terrible pressure. Like, it's a shit show. Like, it's just chaos everywhere, right? And the crowd, by the way, were chanting, "Fuck you, Rory," right? So she's just trying to like kind of get him on side.
Get him on side.
Get him on side. Get the crowd like like focused or whatever. So she's on the mic. She starts going along with them, right? But of course, then that was in the morning, by the way. Of course, then the day turns out to be this abject nightmare of horror, like just the worst. Like, I couldn't have hated American golf fans more by the end of Saturday. I mean, it was it's disgusting. But hey, what a great story to then get somebody who we can put a face on and be like, and here's this comedian riling them up, you know? Like, and it's just the way the media works. It's the way the internet works. And she'll go through the cycle. You know what I mean? You know, she'll deal with all the abuse, and all the people that are upset about abuse will be more horrific on the internet, and they'll never have to face any repercussions. And that is just the nature of, you know, internet cycles in terms of news. But that's not the story. They'll make that the story, but the story is that American golf fans were disgusting. And I really think that some of it comes from, I think, and by the way, I can't substantiate this, but I think people will agree that the YouTube golf fans come from internet culture where it's all trolling and, you know, just the humor is quite horrible. And, you know, it's just one of the many examples of the downfall of human civilization. But also some people, and I think it's fair to say that some people say, in a culture from the top of society, being the president of the United States, where you can be insulting all the time to your adversaries, you know, where he's at a memorial service and he can be like, I hate my enemy, you know, like at a time where you're supposed to be uniting America, he's dividing America. So when it's coming from the top down that's the way you should behave. I think it's also fair to say, is that part of it? It's impossible to prove, but I think
there is a little bit like on Saturday at my gig in Guildford, we had to get someone thrown out. Now, that's the third person I've had thrown out of a gig in about the last 6 months. Prior to that, I didn't have anyone thrown out for over 10 years. No one. There's never a need to throw anyone out. There's never a need. Like hecklers, you can get hecklers. We can deal with hecklers. That's not a problem. We all know how to deal with that, provided that they know the rules. You know, you heckle, you respond. You heckle, you respond. That's it. We all move on. But people just disrespecting where they were. Just people getting so plastered and then thinking that they can talk. They can talk, they can chip in when you're in mid-sentence, and you just go like, this ain't this, and they're ruining the gig for other people. The selfishness of it, and I think that selfishness comes from the fact that when you've got your phone in your hand, you're in your world, and every piece of information, every piece of entertainment is purely for you. So when you go to a live event, you just think, well, this is just for me, innit? And if I don't like that bit, I'll shout out at that bit. It's like, fucking grow up. I mean, and also, each occasion we've had to throw someone out, they have been so plastered off the face, like the standard norms of what you do when you're having a social occasion seems to have gone out the window as well, and it's just a little bit odd. And I think some of the bit as well, when you look at that as a sport, you've got to remember as well the class system of golf for English people. It's less so in Ireland, and I think even a little bit less in America in terms of it's golf isn't just a posh person's sport. People can have access to it, but it's not a sport where you have that. It's just not. Like football's moving away from it. You cannot have. And the thing that gets me is that the majority of people who will be attending that event will be what what marketeers would call ABC ones and stuff. People who are doing all right, people who are doing well, people who should be, if you like, they'll be in management positions in businesses. That type of person, middle management, and then turn up and then insulting someone's wife. Someone threw a beer can at his. I mean, that's like That's ridiculous.
Yeah, no, it was terrible. I mean, it was disgusting, man. It was disgusting.
The other thing that you mentioned early on, the Saudi Comedy Festival.
Oh yeah, those comics are getting it now.
Are they? What's happened? It's sort of gone under the radar here. I think I don't know what the comedy world thinks about it or how it's being reported.
I mean, I don't have much to say other than like, it's a comedy festival in Saudi Arabia. These comics, some of these exceptionally wealthy, successful comics, they took the bag to go there, and. There's now the problem is one of the reasons why the story is like really growing is because somebody has posted the restrictions that are given to the comedians in terms of what they can and can't talk about.
I thought there was none.
Nah.
Wow.
By the way, they also canceled Tim Dillon, who took the bag, but then he got canceled for something he said on his podcast. So they fired him from the festival. But there's no free. Saudi Arabia doesn't have free speech anyway.
No. So they can't. But the comedians themselves can't present the arguments of like, I'm going over to break down barriers.
Well, that's what they are. They are presenting that argument.
But they can't.
But for me,
restrictions.
Well, yeah. I mean, for me, I don't know why anyone would want the hassle. I understand that it's a lot of money and all that, but I don't know why anyone would want the hassle.
Listen, I tried to talk about it on stage on Friday, but no one really got it because it's not big news over here. But for me, I wouldn't go. I wouldn't entertain people who will put my son in prison for being gay.
Yeah,
I just
exactly.
couldn't do it. And
I advised 2 comics not to go. 2 comics that got big offers, I advised them not to go.
And did they go?
Nope. And then another comic I know said yes originally, then he pulled out. So he's been talking about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it, and also because it's Saudi Arabia, like they put gay people in prison. From a personal point of view, like my I've got a son who I love, and I couldn't have that. But also, he's only the result of me and his mother. He's half me and half his mother, and I might be the one with the gay gene. I might be the one. I think they'll have some sensor when you walk through the airport that bleeps and goes, it's in him. He's the carrier. He's the carrier of the gay gene. Don't let him in. Because it'll spread. It'll all change because of me. Yeah, fun. But it's just, I listen, again, I suppose the argument would be if there's live golf, if there's football there, if there's boxing there, if MMA is there, if people want to do, but I don't know how you could enjoy money that you don't enjoy receiving. Do you know what I mean? If you're getting paid to do something that's a brilliant, joyful job, why you would devalue the job itself just to get money off people who would, without hesitation, remove all of your civil rights. I just don't get it. But that's up to them. I mean,
but also, Bill Burr, especially because Bill Burr has been very strong, particularly lately, about the
Trump,
way,
yeah?
And just the way America's going in general, and inequality, and so his messaging has been very strong and very good and funny, and he takes a lot of heat for it, because he has a lot of MAGA fans. He's a white middle-aged dude. A lot of those guys that have been with him for 25, 30 years, they love Trump, and they're pissed off at Bill Burr. And I don't know why he would then give them, so basically he's getting a lot of hypocrite, labeling. And it's disappointing because I'm not gonna lose respect for Bill Burr because he's done it. He has his reasons. I get it. Because I also get the argument of comics being like, are you going to say no to this life-changing money for your family? I understand that.
It's life-changing, but it's not. It's one gig.
No, but younger some younger comics got offered life-changing money.
Yeah, but that's what I mean. But Bill Burr's not in that bracket.
No. So what I'm saying is that argument exists, but for somebody like Bill Burr, I just don't know. It's not worth it, man. You know, it's just disappointing. But what are you going to do? I'm sure he had his reasons.
You don't, again, you never know what's going on. You never know what's going on.
I'm more disappointed because now his messaging, which has been so strong, and he's been such a great champion of like trying to like I feel like some MAGAs will listen to him and be like, oh shit, actually this has gotten out of hand. And why are we now suddenly like, on the billionaire side when I'm just a working class, bus driver or whatever, you know what I mean? Like it's just crazy how the working class people have aligned themselves with elitism, but they don't even realize that because they're so angry at the Dems for being presented as elite that they've aligned themselves with even higher elites and they don't even realize they're aligned with them. Right. But now he's lost his voice.
Yeah. Well, it's what it is. I just thought it was an interesting concept because, as I say, I don't. I was off. I did one gig once in Dubai, and I remember doing it, and it was all part of it. So I did it because we'd been on holiday there. Melanie had lived there for a bit. Melanie worked for Emirates Airlines when they had 7 planes right at the start in 1992. And so we sort of had a bit of a relationship, and I went, but I'd never seen it from that side, and I just thought I have never come back here. I just found they have, it was in this venue, like a small, like a conference arena type place that they created, and I was doing the sound check, and there was literally couches in the front row. And then there was another set of seats behind them, and then seats with tables, and then other seats. And I said, what? Because I got a guarantee, a big fee guarantee. And I said, what are they? And they said, they're for the VVIPs. And then there's the VIP behind them, and then there's another VIP, and then so there's all that hierarchy. And then they took me into the dressing room, and in the dressing room, they had this platter of food. Like, you wouldn't believe the amount of food. And there was an Indian guy there. And so he stood at the end of the table, this platter of food, then there's a sort of seating area, and this is big, big dressing room. So I said, who's this food for? He said, it's for you. I said, I'm not going to eat all that. What's all that for? And I said, what's he doing here? And they said, well, if you sit there and tell him what you want, he'll bring it to you. I went, it's 5 yards. So that was the man's job. The man's job was to stand at the end of the table and me go, spring roll. And he brings you the spring roll and then walks back. I'm like, this is... So, and then since then, a lot of somebody... there was a news story about a year later about an English guy being put in jail for being gay and all that. And that's my...
In the Emirates?
In the Emirates, yeah.
Really?
He brushed against a local.
Someone, didn't he?
Yeah. He brushed past someone and they went, oh, you're gay. And he ended up yeah, I don't even know. Was he gay, Brad?
No, I don't think he was. I think it was like an
he just got
accident,
accused there. So I just went, never again. So then what happened?
But he had the gay gene.
He might have had the gene.
He
might have been like me.
He might have
been like me, a carrier, without realising. So
it's like haemophilia.
Yeah, that's what I mean. You just don't know. It gets passed down through generations. So then what happened is on the last tour, an offer came through, and it was a good offer. It was a good, fair amount of money. And I just said to Lisa, my agent, no, just... She said, well, do you want to see if you can maybe do it? Or what if they do it like in Abu Dhabi or somewhere else? And they can... I said, I'm not... The answer is no. No matter how this gets packaged, I want the answer to be no at the beginning so that they don't put something on the table that makes your eyes water. I said, just don't want to do it. I don't want... So it's off the table now. For other people... Everyone makes their own mind up. Everyone makes their own decisions. But for me, I can't disconnect the audience that you're performing to and the rules of the country that you're in. I just can't disconnect it. And I think that's when we would go back to what you were saying last week about being in Vegas and tourism being down in America. I think that's how people think. I think that, the news feed that we're getting about Donald Trump is so aggressive and so out of kilter with the way most people think. That's the perception that people are seeing. And I think sometimes it takes a while, but I think when countries have a government that's so out of kilter with most people's values, it catches up with them.
Oh, I mean, it's definitely going to catch up. But, well, we'll see how long people that can actually push back on Trump can tolerate it before they step in. But the problem is that, like the Ryder Cup is a microcosm of the vibe in America.
Yeah.
And
Melanie said that. Melanie said that's MAGA. She just said it feels like a Trump rally.
Now I'm gonna not gonna devil's advocate here, but I am gonna say it's not. I'm not gonna say it's MAGA, but what I am gonna say is it's division. Now you may be right, but it's definitely the division. And the point I was gonna make is that the vibe is very much us versus them. They've done a very good job, left, right, like MAGA, not MAGA, us, them. And it just makes people feel like it's okay to hate somebody else,
Yeah.
It's okay to hate trans people. It's okay to hate gay people. It's okay to hate DEI, that it's always us versus them. So them getting something is a loss for us, Yeah. And that is I can't believe, despite all the history in the world of like when societies get that divided, like growing up in America, the delineation between left and right, that just wasn't a thing. In fact, I only really started to feel I learned about that when I went to Ireland, where there was a little bit more awareness of like left-wing policies, right-wing policies. America actually was like allergic to terms like working class. Yeah. America used to say blue collar. I even used to have a joke about it, say, America's so afraid of class discussion that they turned class into like a fashion choice. Are you blue collar or white collar? They were so allergic to the concept of people being aware of the class struggle in any way, shape, or form. No, I know I just sounded like a super lefty there talking about the class struggle. But anyway, it's crazy how it's gone the other way. Now it's just like they're out there full of belt. But the crazy thing is that somehow Trump got the working class people, the blue collar people, to feel like I need to be on the side of fucking Elon Musk and Peter Thiel and Donald Trump and all these incredibly wealthy people. It's bonkers.
Des, have you thought about leaving?
Have I thought about leaving?
Yeah, we've had questions about that on the WhatsApp about whether you would actually think about like moving to Ireland.
Have you had questions? You know what we haven't done? We haven't done an episode where we've responded to any questions or comments or.
Well, we'll do that. We'll do that next week.
Should we do that next week? Let's invite people to it and send in any questions. And next week, that's what we'll do. Or we'll maybe even do a bonus later this week because, let's be honest, me and Brad are going to be on the road. We've got nothing else to do.
Bradley froze, by the way.
I froze, but I'm back.
Yeah. No, honestly, listen. I have the house in Dublin, and here's what I'm hoping. I have not thought about leaving now. I'm hoping that the system in America will hold, and eventually, when it's clear that things are teetering on the edge of authoritarianism, that there will be. Now, I'm going to give. We talked about the free speech thing, but like some Republicans did push back on the Jimmy Kimmel thing. Yeah. And what I'd like to think is that there are certain lines that the powers that be will not allow it to cross. I think right now it's a dangerous game that they're playing. Is how much can we push this to get the shit that we want, And they have things that they want, an end to, basically they want an end to any like social welfare type programs, which always been the traditional sort of like conservative Republicans. They want to go after Social Security. They want to go after Medicare. They want to go after all this stuff that would be traditionally like social welfare state type stuff. Post World War II, the thinking of most governments in the Western world post World War II was there should be a safety net, right? So that's all just very uncontroversial stuff. So I think they're trying to pick away as much as they can at their old school goals, kowtowing to Trump. But I just wonder how much of a sort of like a threat to democracy they can handle to get their little wins before they go, we're in trouble now. We need to push back on this guy. And that's a line that I think they're dangerously close to. But I hope that when they get so close that America seems to be teetering on authoritarianism, that they will pull back.
Yeah,
I hope.
Also, what they're left with when they do it. You know
What's
what I
that?
mean? What they're left with when they do. What society are you left with when you've crawled back to things and you go, oh my God, now we obviously have to make another adjustment to try and correct what's gone wrong.
Americans won't be happy if it actually happens, but we'll see what happens.
That's it. No chance. I mean, America's the land of the free. You know what I mean? That's the attraction. That's why I was saying about this. The noise that you see through the filter of the news and current affairs affects your perception of that country and people from that country. And at the moment, you know, the perception is this is less welcoming than it used to be 2 years ago. And I think that's probably a fair comment. And then you watch stuff like the Ryder Cup where someone's just trying to play golf. You know, and people walk around going 1776.
That's the Ryder Cup banter that's expected. You know, people dressed up in Revolutionary War outfits and like Roy McIlroy, I tell you, all that's fine. It's when it gets really personal, and then particularly when they're trying to mess up your shots, that's when it gets silly. But you know, hey,
see, that's the mind of a golfer. You know what I mean? When it gets personal, so they're slagging off your wife or your daughter, I mean, that's bad enough. But when they're messing with your shot,
amen.
when they're affecting your backswing, that's when they've gone too far.
Yeah, but
calling your wife a slags that's bad. Throwing a can at her, that's out of order. But my backswing, no,
that was at it. That was next level, man. Like that would anyway. They're so I can't stand that type of guy. They're the same type of guy that's fucking telling you you're not funny on the internet. They're telling women they're fucking whores on the internet. Like, you know, it's a type of guy.
It's a weak man.
You know,
it's a weak man.
But by the way, I'm not just going to say it's men on the internet. I've seen some horrific shit from the female side of the internet too. I mean, there's some horrible behavior on the internet that is not helping humanity.
Because the internet's for cowards. It's for cowards. People say things that they would never say to a man's face.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And that's what I mean by the bringing that and the bringing it into the real world and then saying things that they would never normally say, doing things like, I'm sure the guy who threw that can has probably got a wife and kids and all the rest of it and a normal life and is going, what got into me? What got into me?
Have I said this to you guys before? Well, like back in the day, you know, in Ireland, you know, before even Twitter, you know, I didn't understand trolling, you know? So I'd be on the forums and like suddenly I got like pretty well known and suddenly like the vibe switches, right? And you're getting all this hate. And I was just like, oh, you know, I had no idea that was a thing that happens, right? So I'm like taking it all personally. But the amount of violence that was threatened on these internet forums, right? And I always think like for 15 years, I was seeing men commenting online, if I ever see him, I'm going to give him a slap. And I never got a slap.
Still waiting.
I know. So, but I had a lot of people saying, geez, you're a lot taller in real life. So I always wonder, the amount of people that said to me, Jesus, you're a lot taller in real life. I wonder how many of them had been on the internet saying, I'll give him a fucking slap when I see him.
Yeah. And I'm walking up to you and going, no, he's a lot taller than I thought. Yeah, no.
I know, but it's just funny. Like the amount of like violence that you get threatened with versus like violence in real life. But the problem is that there's a lot of violence out there now. It's quite worrying.
And it's frightening the normalization of it.
Yeah, so, you know, this is the thing. You know, this is like the things that society cares about, you know, it's really shifted here. The focus is always on the culture war and victories in the culture war, while the rest of society just, you know, slowly gets chipped away at. And we'll see what happens.
All right, before we go, have you ever shaved your armpits?
Me?
Yeah.
I don't need to, man. I've hardly any hair. I'm not a hairy guy. I'm like a dolphin. Why?
I did it yesterday.
Why?
I did it yesterday. We were in the dressing room. I was asking anyone if they'd done it because I saw this thing that if you shave your armpits, you sweat less. And on stage, that's it. Like it's a final little thing where I'm just looking for little tweaks to make everything better. It's not that I'm a big sweater on stage, so I thought I'd try it. So liberating.
I mean, honestly, really, I have hardly any hair under my armpits. Well, you know why? I know why you shaved your armpits.
Why?
The gay gene. It's in you.
The gay gene's coming out. The gene.
That was the gene.
Yeah. The gene's becoming pronounced.
Smooth.
All right, so listen, I'm starting my tour Wednesday, so next time we talk, we'll be on the road. We've done a few days on the road, and I think it would be really good to do a feedback show. Get some
emails,
voice messages on the WhatsApp or whatever. That would be great.
Promote the show on the tour. Put a QR code up. Be like, if you did not like John's show, leave a WhatsApp for the Bishop Exchange. Customer service. Put a customer service hotline. I'll be in Nashville, Atlanta, and Syracuse, New York coming up. So those are some fun shows that are coming up. I'm also in the Comedy Cellar this week, but also excitingly, Kevin Bridges is in New York. So,
you're going to see Kevin?
Yeah, and I think he's going to do a few spots around the city to begin his American. He did the Canadian part of the tour, but coincidentally, he wants to run a few gags on the American side, see what's kosher and what isn't. So, anyway, it'll be a fun.
Lie to him, just lie to him. Yeah, that's fine.
I'll be like, they know what haggis is here. Don't worry about it. You don't have to explain haggis.
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up. Right. Come on.
Good, let's go. Des, go and crack on with the rest of your day. Thanks for getting up early. Everybody, please like, subscribe, all that stuff that we asked you to do. But give us some comments. Bradley will let you know the WhatsApp number and stuff. Give us some comments because I really like those interactive things and we haven't been able to do it just because we've all been moving around, but because me and Bradley are basically going to be on tour till Christmas, really, we'll be able to filter things and get it done, and then we'll do one of those shows because I really appreciate the feedback. And anyone else gets a t-shirt made this week, please post it.
And we'll correct your spelling.
We'll correct your spelling. Yeah, or I'll sit here for another 5 minutes wondering what's going on.
Also, we should mention that we're gonna be doing backstage vlogs of your tour also on YouTube.
Oh, nice!
If anyone cares to see that,
subscribe to John and my YouTube. John, what are you? John Bishop Comedy.
John Bishop Comedy.
And I'm Des Bishop Comedy. It's 6:45 a.m. here in New York. I'll be signing off. Been on here since 5:30 a.m. Thank you to the listeners.
God bless everyone.
Bye.
Ta-ra, ta-ra.